Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, has Isaiah Thomas already proven he'll fit in with LeBron and the Cavs? Plus, breaking down the teams favored to win the Super Bowl. And does Randy Moss deserve to make the Hall of Fame ahead of Terrell Owens? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Isaiah Thomas made his highly anticipated debut as a Cav last night and received a standing ovation when he checked into the game late in the first quarter. Cleveland ended their three-game losing streak with an easy win over the Blazers. Thomas played more than expected and scored 17 points, including three-pointers in 19 minutes. The Cavs also still have LeBron on the team, and he scored 24 points with 8 assists in the win. Let's take a listen to LeBron and Isaiah after the game.
It was a special night for me. I haven't played in 7 months, so to be able to be out there and compete against another team, it was special. And obviously to get the win was even bigger, but just to be able to compete and be out there and be in an arena setting, game setting, it was a great feeling for myself. I didn't think I would play as well as I did. Especially that first shot I took, I thought it was going to be an air ball. But it was just so exciting, so special to just be out there.
I didn't give it no expectation. I just was like, one thing I knew that was going to happen for sure is when he was coming in, and I knew that these fans were going to give him the ovation that he'd been waiting on, that he deserved. So that's the only thing I expected.
Shannon, were you surprised by Isaiah's play last night?
I wasn't surprised by his production. I was surprised by how many minutes he played. Skip, he is a scorer of the basketball. That's what he does.
Yep.
Even at his size, the one thing Isaiah Thomas could always do was put the ball in the basket. He's a volume shooter. He got up 12 shots in those 19 minutes. I'm not surprised. I think he's surprised by how well he's played because he's mentioned it. Haven't played in 7 months, especially against this level of competition. Scrimmaging against the G League, scrimmaging against guys on your own team, that's not the same as playing in an NBA ball game. I was surprised. I'm not surprised. Look, this is what we know about LeBron. He's the greatest chef ever created in the NBA because he can make any dish. Give him any ingredients, Joy. He's going to make it presentable, Skip Bayless. He's going to make it palatable. He's going to make it pleasing to the eye, and he's going to make it taste good. So I'm not worried about LeBron James. But I was surprised at how well Isaiah played with D. Wade. Now, that seemed to be the unit that was clicking. Came in with the second unit. Tristan Thompson, I'm not surprised with Tristan because Tristan is a great pick-and-roll big man. Isaiah Thomas is one of the better pick-and-roll point guards. But the chemistry that he had with D. Wade in that second unit, they might be on to something, Skip. They might be on to something.
Oh, do you really think Isaiah Thomas is going to sit still for playing with the second unit? He will not.
No, I'm not saying that, Skip, but I'm saying they will always stagger. So I'm thinking that LeBron and Isaiah, one of those guys, once Isaiah gets up to speed, will always be on the court. So there's always going to be a situation where both of these guys can go get their own shots. Both of these guys can set up other guys. Now, Isaiah Thomas is not the passer of the basketball as LeBron James is. His career, he's somewhere between 4 and 6 assists a night. That's what he is. He's not a John Wall, the old school prototypical point guard. Although Russell is a volume shoot first guard, he's a double-digit assist guy. That's not what Isaiah Thomas is, nor do we expect him to be that. But I tell you what he can do. He can put the ball in the basket. He can take some of the scoring burden off of LeBron and Kevin Love. So I'm surprised that he played as many minutes as he did, especially since he hadn't played in 9 months, but he looked good. He's not his old explosive self, but he's getting there. I like he took the ball to the basket and one, got up a couple of threes, come downhill, pull up with the little mid-range. That lefty had it going, and we got something on store. Now, he's not going to play tonight. We're going to put him back on the shelf. Put him back on the shelf. We don't want y'all to see what we got.
Sure about that?
I'm sure about that.
I don't think Vegas is sure because they won't even post a line yet on this game at Boston tonight because I think they're all waiting to see just in case Isaiah wakes up today and says, you know what? I feel great.
He gonna wake up. He gonna wake up today, but he's not gonna play. We've already got it.
You've already decided.
We've already decided. Myself, T. Lou, Braun.
Really?
Kobe Altman, we've already decided what's going to happen. Yep.
You've spoken to
No, we ain't. No, Dan ain't involved. Dan ain't involved in this.
Okay, back to the question. Was I surprised? Yeah, I was stunned. I was amazed because you said he was going to be rusty, and I thought he'd be rusty. I saw very little rust. Maybe he wasn't quite as explosive, but it was close, man. And I saw no fear. I saw no hesitation. I saw no, let me ease back into this. Like LeBron was saying, we don't expect anything of him. We don't want to put any pressure on him. Well, he's putting a lot of pressure on himself because they gave him, fittingly, a big standing O, and he was just rise and shine, man. And he came out chucking. He came out firing. and I was amused by it because he played one first 5-minute stint before he went and sat down for a couple. And he got up 5 shots in 5 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of shots. And then he got up 12 in his, 19 minutes. And if you project that out over, as the NBA does, over 48 minutes.
You know what, Skip?
Wait a second. That would be 30.4 shots per 48 minutes, which would currently lead the NBA. I know that's not fair because it's such a small sample size, but that's who he is now. That's what you got. I've been telling you, he likes to have the ball in his hands, as we saw last night, and he is going to shoot the rock. It's just who he is. It's okay. It's just, but that's what you got here.
Yes.
And he can pass it a little bit. He's not LeBron, but he needs to be able to pass it and shoot it. You have to hold it first, right? So I was chuckling, and I tweeted late last night, it's now Isaiah Thomas's team. It was mildly tongue-in-cheek, but the crowd's going crazy. And I'm going to warn you about this. Isaiah Thomas is built differently than Kyrie was. They both have big egos because any superstar has a big ego.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Shannon Sharpe, big ego. Good with that. But they're different egos in that Isaiah basks in the spotlight. And they had him on NBA TV after the game, and he was just lit up, man. And it was fun to watch because he craves the spotlight. He loves the interviews. Kyrie, not so much. Kyrie doesn't really like to talk to the press, and he's just a little iffy on the post-game interviews, the big ones like on NBA TV. He'll do them occasionally, but he's not into it the way Isaiah's into it. My point is, Isaiah loves a spotlight that is currently dominated and should be dominated by the quote-unquote best player on the planet. So I think it's going to be harder for LeBron to fit him in. And I'm also going to remind you of this. This year especially, as LeBron much of the year has played the highest minutes in the NBA. He's not there right now. And by the way, he took himself out last night. It was shocking to me. He took himself out of the game with 5 minutes and 10 seconds left. Usually,
we had it under control.
Yeah, no, because I think he's pointing to tonight because he wants to be sure he's got something left in the tank.
He always got something.
Well, we'll
always got something for
we'll
it.
Talk about that in a second. But I have seen LeBron James now, what's he turned? Is he 40?
33. You know how old he is.
Oh, 33. He's now 33 in his 15th season. He's almost halfway through his 15th season. I think in this past offseason in which he got himself into superb shape, he realized I can't catch that ghost in Chicago, Michael Jordan.
I don't think he thinks that.
Okay, but he can't catch him in NBA Finals performance because you just can't. You're never going to match 6-0 when you're 3-5, and you can't catch 6 MVPs because he was 6 for 6. But LeBron has realized he could make a strong case on longevity, on career statistics. So he's playing extremely high, crazy high minutes to me, like it's destructively high if you're trying to win a championship, but he is stuffing the stat sheet. And it's hard to stuff it the way he can stuff it, but that's what he's been doing this year.
So is that what Russell's doing, Westbrook? Is that what James Harden's doing?
Okay, but they're not LeBron James. They're not the best player on the planet trying to catch Michael Jordan, right?
So who are they trying to catch?
Do you think Russell's going to try to? Do you think he's thinking I'm going to pass Michael Jordan? No, he's
I'm
not
sure he's thinking that. I'm sure he's thinking
Okay,
that.
so should we put Russell in the same sentence with LeBron James? You just did.
No, hold on, wait a minute. So Michael Jordan didn't stuff the stat sheet? He wasn't trying to score 50 a night.
He wasn't trying to lead the league in minutes played, I can tell you that.
Skip, I ask you a simple question. Was he trying to score 50?
Back-to-back years, 14 and 15, where he's been leading the league in minutes played. That's insane to me.
Okay, well, maybe.
But you're just trying to, in blowouts, you're trying to, it's Lestat. That's who you are. You're Lestat.
All I know is that you remember last week, the Rockets had a 26-point lead. What happened, Skip? Can you tell the people at home that didn't see that game what happened?
You got a cold again?
They had a 15.
It's going around in L.A.
At the start of the fourth quarter.
Baker Mayfield got it. He might have got it from you, for all I know.
You know what I found out, Joey? Jalen Hurts was equally as sick, missed 2 days of practice, and we didn't hear about it until the telecast of the broadcast. Baker Mayfield, and we heard about it a week. That's not.
Are you making excuses for Jalen Hurts now?
No. They tried to paint this narrative that what's the guy's name that walked out the tunnel? Willis Reed. Willis Reed Mayfield was going to have that performance against those Bulldogs.
Okay, yesterday, did I even mention one time that Baker Mayfield had been sick before the game?
No.
Not one time did I bring it up. Thank you.
Got that dog flu.
Yeah,
but anyway, Skip Bayless, all I'm saying is that you keep saying LeBron is trying to stuff the stat sheet. LeBron James is trying to win games. And sometimes he can play 30 minutes. Sometimes it's going to require him to win 40 minutes.
Yep.
You say, well, LeBron, sit down. No, LeBron is trying to win. And if it counts for him, if he needs to play 35, 40 minutes, that's what he's going to do.
I can go back and show you 10 games they had clearly in hand with 5 or 8 minutes left. And he said, nope, I'm going to play the way to the buzzer.
The Rockets had the game clearly in hand. And what happened? But anyway, Skip.
Is James Harden LeBron James? Is that what you're saying?
You told me he's the MVP right now.
Who?
James Harden.
I did not. I don't like James Harden. I told you last week he crumbled right on schedule.
What they got to do with him doing what he's doing right now?
Okay, let's get back to my point. My point is LeBron has been statistically off the charts, especially in year number 15.
His entire career.
Okay, not his entire career, this year. And all of a sudden, that's going to get threatened by Isaiah Thomas. And I got to tell you, I don't think LeBron's going to love this. I don't think so. Because, look, can Isaiah help LeBron win a championship? Well, on offense, yeah, if you can figure it out. It's just now starting. This great chemistry experiment that I've been talking about, it just began last night. And fortunately for them, they were easing ahead and then way ahead of Portland.
Yeah.
So there was no threat to losing last night. So everything came up Rose Bowls. You know, it was perfect. Everything was perfect in Cleveland last night. So let's see what happens when they lose a game or they lose 2 in a row. They just lost 3 in a row, and all of a sudden everything was right because Isaiah came back, which is why I tweeted, it's now Isaiah's
in the 15 years LeBron James has played basketball in the NBA, can you tell me the player that's gotten worse playing alongside LeBron James?
I don't know, I'm sure I could find somebody, some bench player or somebody, but this is going to be an interesting experiment because
really, Skip?
LeBron might get worse trying to play with this guy because in the end, defense will win a championship for Cleveland because you're going to have to either face that juggernaut from Golden State or San Antonio, one of those two, and you're going to have to defend. You're going to have to defend maybe the best defensive team in San Antonio, or you're going to have to try to stop all those scores in Golden State. And all of a sudden, you're going to add a piece that will help you on offense, and it will hurt you on defense, where currently you rank second to last in the NBA in defense. Yeah. And you're going to add Isaiah Thomas at 5'10"?
When you look at the Cavaliers, Kevin Love is not a defender. So you look at the pieces that Isaiah is not a defender. Kyle Korver, Channing Frye. It's not like they're loaded with defensive stoppers.
I think you need to throw LeBron in there now. I don't think he's much of a defender.
Hold on, let me see the LeBron stat line. Can I interest you in 4 steals? What about a block? That interest you?
How come his defensive efficiency rating, individual defensive efficiency rating, is the lowest of his career right now?
Skip.
Can I interest you in that?
Yes, you can.
Can you explain that?
Because
Thank you.
It's required of him to do more on the offensive end. He's not going to because he can't sit in the chair every night.
So now I want to see LeBron concentrate on defense. I want to see fewer offensive stats, and I want to see more defensive production.
No.
Yes. That's what you just said. I want to see it.
Hold on.
Bring it, Ron.
Was Michael Jordan the defensive stopper in year 15?
Yeah, what was his last year in Chicago? I'm losing track.
I don't know about Chicago. Year 15.
All I know is I was there in 1998, and he and Pippen and Ron Harper across front. You couldn't get the ball across half court against them.
1998. Remember now, because he had taken a year and a half off. So he was well rested. LeBron James has played straight through. And the Olympics. So let's stop playing, Skip Bayless. I know what you're trying to do here. Now you want LeBron to be a defensive stopper because you know it's inevitable.
I want somebody on the Cavaliers to play a little bit of defense because the guy you just added will play no defense. Thank you very much.
Skip, he's 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", whatever he is.
He's never been interested in playing defense.
Skip, the thing is about Isaiah Thomas, he understands that the Cleveland Cavaliers gave up a guy entering his prime that was a 25-point night scorer, that was clutch as they come. So that's what Isaiah Thomas is going to be compared to, not what he does in Cleveland. They will always, he and Kyrie will always be joined at the hip because they were traded for each other. Everybody knows what Kyrie represents.
So is there any coincidence that this year without Isaiah and with Kyrie, Boston went from 12th in defensive efficiency to number 1 in the NBA in defense.
And you think that's because
Number
of
one,
Kyrie?
I think it helped. I think it helped to get rid of Isaiah and bring in.
Well, if that was the case, why did Steph Curry average 28 points a night in the finals then?
What does that matter?
Kyrie, he's that defensive stopper you was telling me about.
Oh, well, how about Game 7 when they finally broke through and won?
No, we're talking about last year, Skip.
I thought Kyrie did some defensive numbers.
Steph Curry averaged 28, 9, and 7, and he did a number on him? Well, don't do that number again. If he does that number again, well, first of all, they're not getting that Eastern Conference, so we're not worried about that.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, you keep trying every chance you get. Well, he's playing too many minutes. Now, if he's going to play those minutes, I want LeBron to devote more attention to the defensive side.
Yeah, I do.
No, don't worry about it. No.
Well, if he's the best player on the planet, you got to play some defense.
He does.
Because obviously Kawhi Leonard is the best two-way player.
No, actually, Kevin Durant is that now.
Oh, really?
Oh, Kevin Durant's that now.
Yeah, he's
no,
making a case.
no,
He's
he
making a
is.
case.
He is.
Oh, so
he
you're
is.
giving it up?
He is.
So Kevin Durant's the MVP?
No, Kevin Durant's the best two-way player in the NBA.
Oh.
LeBron James is the best player.
We'll see what happens when Kawhi actually gets fully healthy.
Well, don't worry about all that. But all I'm saying is this, Skip Bayless. You know what's going to happen. LeBron James puts the time in the offseason. He has the best training staff to make sure he can play those minutes. They didn't lose last year because LeBron led the NBA in minutes played. The man averaged a triple-double. He averaged 30 points throughout the entirety of the playoffs. And now, all of a sudden, minutes going to work. Don't worry about the minutes.
Okay.
We don't count the minutes.
All right,
we make the minutes we out there count. That's
tonight,
what we do.
Tonight,
Yeah.
what happens?
You know what happens.
You tell me.
We going to win.
You're the Cleveland guru.
Put something on it. You want something on it now?
No, I don't.
Why?
I don't want any on
They
it.
got
Tell
the-
me why. Tell me why.
They got the closer, Skip.
Oh.
Y'all got the closer. They got Kyrie.
Yeah.
They're the best defensive team in basketball. And LeBron is, how old is he now, Joey? 40?
43? He just turned 43.
Put it like
That's
this.
incredible.
Skip. Did you know this?
Can't believe he's still
Did
playing.
you know this? That Tiger Woods and LeBron James had the same birthday?
We know that.
Did anybody mention Tiger? Everybody knows about the king. He supplanted the king. Tiger Woods was the guy. Everybody. December 30th is LeBron James Day.
Tiger Woods hasn't won a major championship since 2008. It's almost 10 years.
Tiger
How can you even
Woods.
claim
Who
that?
else's
Tiger-
birthday it is? Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tonka, my bull master turned 4.
So here's the problem that Kyrie and company might have tonight, even though you have to give this to them. We're almost halfway through an NBA schedule for the Boston Celtics. They are 3.5 games up on the Cavaliers. That's an achievement in and of itself.
No, it's not.
You can take it or leave
They
it, but I'm going to take
They
it.
gonna hang a banner for that?
No,
Okay.
no, but that's a great start for Kyrie in Boston. But the point is, and the problem is, that Kyrie has no bench. It's pretty much, they might go 6, maybe 7 deep. Do you realize the Boston Celtics have the worst shooting bench in all of basketball? Well, how can I trust it? Because what I do
Why
like
you
about...
do the bench when you got Kyrie?
Hey, you know what I really like about LeBron's team? I like that bench. And you know who I love coming off the bench? The most important player on the Cavaliers is Dwayne Wade. He's not the best player, but he's the most important because he comes in every night and they take it up a notch.
So Dwayne Wade is not more important than LeBron James for the Cavaliers?
He's more important for stability in the locker room, on the bench. He willingly took this role of, I'm going to become the leader of the shock troops. We're going to come in, and every time they come in, not good things, great things start happening. And last night, great things started happening when Dwayne came off the bench. And
Well, what happened in Sacramento?
I don't know, they lost 3 straight games.
Exactly.
You know, and then
What-
LeBron blew the little bunny in the lane with 26 seconds left at Utah. They might have won that game.
Okay, what happened when the shock troop came in to start the second quarter? I mean, the second half.
Well, I just said Boston's 3.5 games ahead, but
Okay.
I think Dwayne and the bench have kept this team afloat.
The bench is doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay, so look at what a mismatch this should be, because you got LeBron James, the quote-unquote best player on the planet. You got Dwayne coming off the bench.
stop putting
and
it
you
in
got
quote.
Kevin
It's
Love,
fact.
quote-unquote. So you have 3 All-Stars on one team, and you have only 1 All-Star on the other team because they lost Gordon Hayward. Now, if Gordon Hayward happens to come back for the playoffs, which I think is very possible, you might be in some trouble, but I got to see that to believe
something
it.
on the game
Not
tonight.
tonight, because I remember what happened last year. Remember, they had a home game against Orlando, and then they went to Boston. Remember that in April?
Yeah.
Remember what the score was? 114 to 91.
A whole lot to a few.
Yeah. I'm expecting something like that out of LeBron tonight because he's the best player on the planet, quote unquote.
I want you to stop using quotes.
So it should be LeBron's night tonight. In fact, I'm going to pick the Cavaliers. I think they should win a close, low-scoring game. I'm going to go 99-96 Cavaliers. They just should win this. They got 3 All-Stars to 1. Come on.
Al Horford's not an All-Star?
No, he's not an All-Star.
Yes, he...
Not like a perennial. Come on.
Skip, the man's been to like 4 or 5 All-Star games.
It's 3-1. You know it, and I know it. So,
again, so now
again,
Isaiah Thomas is a perennial All-Star.
Well, how about the worst bench versus maybe the best bench?
No, they don't have the best bench.
Yeah, they do.
No.
Huh?
We got a nice bench. They played really well last night. They
Did
scored
they?
61 points.
I thought they were sensational. So just on bench alone, LeBron could take tonight off, and maybe the bench could beat the bench.
You told me you was going to put something on it.
I did not say. I might put something on it in the postseason if I see Gordon Hayward come back. I'm going to put something on things that really matter.
You can see Gordon Ramsay come back. You can see Jeff Gordon come back. There ain't a Gordon been created.
If Gordon Hayward hadn't been lost in Game 1 at Cleveland, we would be having a different conversation right now, and I would put something on a regular season game in early January.
Now,
LeBron should win this game.
So now Skip.
I think Isaiah might play tonight. I think Vegas thinks he's
No,
going to
man,
play.
I don't worry about it. He plays. If he doesn't play, he doesn't play. I'm good with it either way.
Yeah.
But you won't put nothing on this game.
That guy. I think Cleveland's going to win. Why would I put something on
Because you say Kyrie that guy.
We got a long way to go. We got these things called playoffs.
No, we only got like 7 hours. Put something on it. Or I'll give you to the end of the show.
No.
Have the courage of your conviction.
I just picked
But he
Cleveland.
picked-
I picked Cleveland.
No.
Okay, I'll put something on Cleveland. I'll put a case of Diet Mountain Dew on Cleveland. You take it? No, you won't take it.
No. Why am I going to bet against?
Okay, that's the courage of my convictions. That's what I think's going to happen.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's okay.
What do you think's going to happen?
You gonna get what's coming to you. Your day is coming. Your day of reckoning is coming.
No, it's not.
No mercy.
The Patriots are big favorites to win the Super Bowl and have home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. New England finished the regular season #1 in total offense, but 29th in total defense. We're joined by Charlie Weis, who won 3 titles in New England. Welcome, Charlie. Good morning.
Good morning.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in New England winning the Super Bowl?
If assuming that Jacksonville and Kansas City hold serve, if that happens, I'd say about 8. Because I'm not thrilled with the matchup with the Chiefs going into New England. Now, you think about that opener. Now, granted, there's no Eric Berry now, but you think about that opener. I mean, the game was close for a couple of quarters, but they whooped them pretty good in the second half now. And I don't think that that's the easiest matchup to be playing in the first round. Now, the Patriots kind of own the Steelers. Now, the Steelers didn't win that last game. I don't know when they're ever going to win.
Right.
But psychologically, I think the Patriots have an advantage over the Steelers. But I'm actually concerned. I'm concerned about the first round game.
Interesting.
I got 8 also.
Yeah.
I would have said 10 had Tom Brady played great in the month of December. He didn't look like the Tom Brady that we saw in the previous months or a Tom Brady that we've seen over the years. And so that's a little concerning for me. And I agree with you. See, I don't think they're going to have to beat the Steelers and the Jags. So one of those will be taken out of the way for them, and they'll have a clear path. I think the Jags, personally, defense match up better against them, but I'm concerned about Blake Bortles.
Yeah, the Jags' defense is pretty strong, and they do have a good running game. If it's a crummy weather game, it could play into the Jags' favor.
Right, because they got physical, they got big defensive linemen. They got Calais Campbell and Malik Jackson that can push the pocket from the inside, and then you got Fowler, you got the Ndikwe, I think that's his name. With a double-digit sack out, collapse in the pocket. You got 2 very, very good. You got a great corners in Ramsey and Boye, and you got Church and you got Cyprian at the safety position. Gibson, I think.
The Jags went into Pittsburgh and whooped them pretty good when they played them. So that'll be really interesting. The first round game, the second round games. If the Jags and Chiefs hold serve, the Jags get to go back into Pittsburgh and
Right.
see what happens there, and Kansas City goes back into New England and see what happens there. I think that turns into a great weekend of let's see what happens right
But
there.
I'm with you, Charlie. I give him an 8, but I would have said 10 had Tom Brady played better down the stretch.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. And remember now, you look at two things with the Patriots, and I obviously have a special fondness for the Patriots, but two things that concern me are, one, the receivers aren't very involved. Now, not that they don't try to get them involved,
Right.
but you've got Brandon Cooks who can run by everybody, but the receivers aren't super involved in the completions. Most of the completions go to the running backs and the tight end.
Correct.
And then on defense, this is remarkable what they've been able to do on defense, because they just picked up James Harrison, and realize if you asked who do they got in the front seven, you'd be able to tell me James Harrison.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to tell me. You wouldn't be able to tell me another guy. Because with Dante Hightower not playing, you probably couldn't give me one guy that plays in the front seven. So that concerns you some too.
So for those reasons, my faith on a scale of 1 to 10 is not nearly as high as you guys. I'm at a 6. I'm just barely above 500. The other thing you didn't mention was this team, this offensive line, has not been able to protect Tom Brady much of the year. Again, 35 sacks this year versus 15 last year. No Marcus Cannon, who I think was their best offensive lineman.
They're on their third-rate tackle. I mean, it's been.
All right. So what have you always preached to me? What happened at Denver a couple of years back, right?
Yeah.
If you can't protect him, if you're all over him, you can actually stop him. The Giants proved that in certainly the first Super Bowl for sure. And they just don't protect him very well. And then to the defense, they're still 29th in the league in yards allowed. I know that got built up off that debacle in the opener, and those first 4 games were historically bad, but 29th is not very good now. In scoring defense, it came down. So they're classic bend but don't break.
But at the end of the day, okay, you have to figure with the coaching staff, who I greatly respect, and with number 12, I mean, you can hide some sins.
Yeah, well, they've been doing it all year.
And I think that they'll find a way to do it again.
Okay, so to your point about Pittsburgh, at some point Pittsburgh's just going to break through. I don't know. I mean, if
They gotta win one
I know,
sooner or
just
later on.
somewhere they just finally say, we're sick and tired of this. I thought it would be this year at Pittsburgh.
It's kind of funny when I see people, like I live in South Florida, and I'll run into a Steeler fan, and they said, yeah, we're really good. I said, yeah, but you get ragdolled by the Patriots every time you end up playing them. So,
Okay.
I mean, until you start beating them, and well, we said when we were watching that up, I do the Patriot pre and post game show. And we said if the Steelers weren't going to win that game, they're never going to win.
No.
If they didn't win that,
So-
I mean, how could you not win that?
I got you. So if it does come to Kansas City going back to Foxborough, I think I'm betting on 12 in that game, just on revenge. Like he will get even for opening night. But Jacksonville is dangerous because
Very.
they can rush the passer. They can jump all over those receivers, and it's not a great group. So it's like New England would have a hard time scoring on Jacksonville.
And maybe Pittsburgh would have a chance if they understood that it's allowed to double Gronkowski.
Yeah.
It's not against the rules.
That's what the Jets did last week.
Because I sat there and watched an entire second half
You
They
did.
singled
with Gronkowski just eating them up, and it was one-on-one coverage. And I'm saying, 1-double-87, 1-double-87, 1-double-87. Does anyone understand that it's not against the rules to double
That's
Gronkowski?
what I told Skip that until they show me, because there are very few teams that have one guy that can match up with Gronk. So basically, I'm going to say if Brandon Cooks, if you can go get 200, Hogan, Amendola's not going to beat you. Okay, he get 3 or 4 first downs. Gronk, Amendola, and Hogan and Cooks, they're paper cuts. Rob Gronkowski is sending you to the trauma center. He's going to get you $150.
And this wasn't by design, but you know how many times they threw the ball to Gronkowski last week against the Jets?
0.
None. They didn't throw it to him one time. Very good, Skip. And why? Because they said, he's not going to beat us. And I think that that's a strategy. Anyone that's
I
playing.
think Tom got mad that he kept saying it's Gronk or bust, like Gronk
No, that
Tom Brady.
no.
And he finally said,
Look,
Shannon,
Tommy
I'm gonna
throws
show
to the
you.
open guy. That's what he does.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a lot of teams where you have to throw the ball to him, you have to throw it to him. You know, he's one of the few quarterbacks that can do both coverage reads and progression reads. Usually a quarterback can do one or the other.
That's
the
true.
great ones can do both.
Right.
Okay, but so he's thrown to the open guy, or the guy, you know, that if it's every man-to-man coverage, he's thrown to the best matchup.
Yeah, and Gronk is always the best matchup.
If it's one-on-one, he's
Exactly.
always the best matchup. But
Was that Mike Tomlin's pride involved here? Is
Well,
he
you
just
know,
saying I'm not going to double
a
that
lot of
big joker?
a lot of coordinators, Skip, is that they don't want to junk their entire defense
Yeah.
because we play our coverage, we do what we do, and we feel we're good enough. But that's not good enough against him. You got now if you're gonna go get pressure on him. Now Denver didn't double him, but they have Von Miller and Ware, Malik Jackson and Wolf, and they would, you know, you get 4 guys that can get home, you can play because he doesn't have a whole lot of time. But if you're gonna let him pat the ball, and you got Gronk one-on-one, oh, Gronk's gonna have a monster day.
and I've always said you can take one player out of a game
if you want to.
You know, you could take one out. You know, if you have 2 pass rushers, okay, you have a
It's not a
problem.
protection one way or
Because you can't keep everybody in.
Right.
Okay, but if you have one dynamic pass rusher, you could take him out of the game. If you have one receiver, you could roll to him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take one guy out of the game. The problem is when you get these teams who have multiple weapons, and if you take him out, fine, we'll throw it to the other guys.
Right.
You know.
So that's what, and see, that's what makes Jacksonville so dangerous, Skip, is that they got a front 4. Where do you slide your line to? They got edge rushers and they got 2 guys that can lapse. I mean, Calais Campbell had 14.5 sacks. Malik Jackson, I think,
See,
had
when you
7.5, 8.
When you get pressure just rushing 4, it's a problem now.
Yeah.
You know.
And especially up the middle, because Tommy wants to step into his throws. He's not
Now
trying to.
you're calling him Tommy?
Yeah,
Oh, I
Charlie.
like this.
Hold
He's
it.
coming around.
That's because he's on a first name basis. Then if he's called him Tommy.
Normally I call him Brady.
That is true.
Most of the,
Well, the one advantage New England has against Jacksonville is that it does boil down to Blake Bortles versus Bill Belichick. I think I'll take Bill in that match.
because you got to figure, Coach. You got to get to 24 points to beat the Patriots. Let's just say 24 is a conservative estimate.
Yeah,
If you can get to 24.
You have a chance. That's
I
right.
don't know if Tom can get to 24 against Jacksonville.
It's going to be
That's-
tough.
oof.
But here's the thing. What can Blake Bortles get to?
No mercy.
The Rams are a 6.5-point favorite at home against the Falcons in Saturday's wild card game. The Rams scored the most points in the NFL this season, and they have an MVP candidate in Todd Gurley. But they are making their first playoff appearance since the 2004 season. The Falcons were the NFC champs last year with one of the best offenses ever, but this year they dropped down to the 15th highest scoring team in the league. We're joined once again by Charlie Weis. Charlie, your son is an offensive assistant for the Falcons. So how much of a shot do you give Atlanta on Saturday?
I give him a legit shot. I really do. I think that first of all, there's something to be said for playoff experience, and the Rams don't have it, and the Falcons do. As fresh as last year, there's a lot to it, and the magic number is 20 points by Atlanta. Do you realize this year they play 16 games? If they score 20 points, they're 10-0. They score under 20 points, they're 0-6. So they can get to 20, based
thing
off
you
based off of 1,000 batting average. I'd have to say that's the magic number.
I give him a real good chance also. They still have Matt Ryan. He did not play as well. I think some of that has to do with play calling, Skip, because he had been with Kyle Shanahan for a couple of years, and he and Kyle understood each other. This is Kyle Shanahan's offense. Sarkisian learned this offense and called plays accordingly.
Yep.
They still have Julio. As you say, you can take away one, but they have Mohamed Sanu. They have Taylor Gabriel. So they have quality receivers across the board. And then they have that two-headed monster,
Yep.
Tevin Coleman and Dante Freeman. They also, when the running backs get 25 touches, they're 10-1. 10-1. So they can run it, they can throw it. The question is, Atlanta's defense, which Atlanta defense shows up? Because we know Todd Gurley is going to get his touches. They're going to throw it to him. They're going to hand it to him.
Yep.
So we're going to – and, Skip, people are like, well, Matt Ryan, do you people realize that Matt Ryan in the Super Bowl last year was 17 of 23 for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns? He had 6 incompletions. I thought he played great. He made one mistake that a veteran quarterback can't make. You can't take a sack and when you're in field goal.
Definitely not.
That was it. That was the only mistake.
You know,
Skip.
even though that was a straight line beeline to him right
yeah,
there.
yeah, but you can't. You
know,
got to get rid of the ball. Yeah, but
might have helped if they were running the ball instead of throwing it, but that's a whole nother subject in its own right. You know,
I give Atlanta a great chance because here it is. Like as Charlie said, playoff experience. You like Jerry Goff, you like Matt Ryan.
You know, and we talk about the Falcons' offense not doing very well this year. Well, Julio still had over 1,400 yards of receptions. I mean, so you forget about that.
You forget how good he actually is until he has one of those 300 yards receiving games or 250. It's gonna be like, well, huh?
And we talk about defense. The Falcon defense is different than like the Patriot defense.
Right.
The Falcons are fast. Yeah. They're really fast. I mean, so this isn't a question of they're very conservative. They usually just rush four. Okay, sort of the Pete Carroll mentality. A very similar philosophy.
Cover one, robber team.
Yeah, that's right. Post safety.
Yep.
Post safety most of the game. Okay, but the one thing about them, I mean, they've really have been fairly good at bending but don't breaking. Okay, because people move the ball on them. People get off the, stay on the field, a lot. You convert in third downs, but at the end of the day, it comes to that 20-point magic number. If the Falcons can score in the 20s, I think the Falcons will win the game.
This scares me that this conversation is headed in this direction, but I'm going to keep running down this path. I am leaning toward picking the Atlanta Falcons to win the game, and I would love to take these 6.5 points that they are getting via the odds makers.
You're not picking against ED, are you? You still mad because you sabotaged your season.
I might have a little bit of pick, but I look at what the Rams have done at home this year. As great a year as they've had, Eric, they did lose to Kirk Cousins at home, and they did lose to their arch rival Seahawks at home, and they did lose a really big national game to the Eagles at home, and they mailed in the last game against San Francisco and lost that one, but still. So they're 4-4 at home, and the quarterbacks they beat at home are Tolzien and Savage and Drew Stanton, and they had one impressive home game against Drew Brees. And it got tight at the end because Brees brought them back in the fourth quarter, and it went down to an onside kick, and they hung on 26-20. I know that stadium because once upon a time I covered the first incarnation of the Los Angeles Rams in that stadium, the Coliseum, and it's USC's stadium.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like it's your home. And I know these LA crowds, because I don't think they've changed since the 70s. They don't come out to inspire the team. They come out and sit on their hands and wait for the team to entertain and excite the crowd.
Correct.
So it's not fierce home field advantage. Nobody's afraid to play in that Coliseum. So I'm going to give Atlanta a chance there just to walk in and say, hey, we could do this. And they are still the Falcons. And you made the point yesterday, nobody has more weapons than they have.
No.
If Devontae Freeman, he's got a knee issue and didn't practice from the Carolina game.
Right.
But I'm just going to guess he's going to play. Don't know that for sure.
Right.
But the other guy's not
Coleman.
bad. Yeah, he can play.
And they got a back Ward.
Yep.
He plays a lot too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's still Matt Ryan, and the NFC playoffs are, I've said this many times, they're as wide open as I can remember in my entire career. Where
agree.
I'm leaning toward New Orleans, but I'm not sure about that. And hey, if Atlanta gets hot, would I be surprised at a New England-Atlanta rematch in the Super Bowl? I would not be shocked by it by any stretch.
I wouldn't either. And let's address a couple of things. First of all, the Coliseum. The Coliseum is a big older stadium, but it's also spread out.
It is. It's open.
Okay,
yeah.
the noise really isn't a very big factor.
Nope.
And when you play on the road, one of the reasons why road teams can win is when they can get a jump on the snap count, and the other team,
Yep.
it can't be one-sided because when you have when your defensive guys can get a jump on the snap count, it's a huge advantage. And at that place, it really is not the way it is. That's number one. And then number two, getting back to Atlanta one more time. Okay, I can't reemphasize. I can't emphasize this enough. When you're playing in playoff football, okay, you got to see how the cards are being dealt. Okay, so they're playing the Rams right now. The only teams that know who they would play in the next round are the 6 seeds. So I'm talking big picture now.
Right.
If they were to beat the Rams, they already know they're going to Philadelphia. Okay, those 2 teams sitting at home right now don't know. They have 3 teams they're getting ready for.
Right.
3. Because the number 1 seed could play 4, 5, or 6. The number 2 seed can play 3, 4, or 5. So you have to get ready for 3 teams. Okay, one thing the 6 seed knows, if they win, they're going to Philadelphia.
Right.
They're
already taking
you
it.
know,
And part of them are breaking down. You got people, scouts, that are breaking down tape of this
Yep.
Eagles. So once that game's over, if they were to win that game, it's already nice.
they're ready to go. They're already ready to go because there's no new games for the Eagles.
Nope.
Oh, so I think that if you're a 6 seed, if you could win the first game, now you now have put yourself into the mix to be a legit contender to make a run.
No mercy. Randy Moss was on the list of the 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame unveiled yesterday. This is Moss's first year of eligibility. Terrell Owens is also a finalist for the 3rd straight year. Moss is 4th all-time in total touchdowns, 1 ahead of T.O., but both players had notable character issues during their careers. So, Shannon, should Randy Moss make the Hall of Fame before T.O.?
No, they should both go in this year. T.O., first of all, should have already been.
Oh, so you're saying Randy should be a first ballot?
Yeah.
Okay.
First
Got
of all, so should T.O. They changed the rules to inhibit T.O. from going in on the first ballot. Skip, they said you were never supposed to use off-field behavior because we know there are plenty of guys in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that have off-field issues. But it wasn't until T.O. came up on the ballot that they said we're going to use what happened in the locker room, what happened on the sidelines as criteria.
They did?
Wow. Is that what it means? Is that you want to keep a guy that his numbers warrant him going in on the first ballot? He was, at the time of his retirement, he was 3rd in TD receptions, 2nd in yards. He's still 2nd in yards. He was probably like 3rd or 4th in catches. And no off-the-field issue. T.O. has never run afoul with the law.
He has not.
And Randy was spectacular. I mean, Randy had 10 1,000-yard seasons. T.O. had 9. T.O. is one of 3 men that's been a first-team All-Pro with 3 different teams. Ted Hendricks was one, first ballot Hall of Famer. The other is Deion Sanders, first ballot Hall of Famer. There is any metric that you want to use says Terrell Owens should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, because he didn't go in, you made that mistake. I don't believe you should punish Randy Moss. Say, well, T.O. had. See, I don't get into that, Skip, where he had to wait. He should have to wait. Skip, I had to wait. I had to wait 3 years.
You did.
And when I retired, I had every number: yards, catches, touchdowns, more 170-plus yard games than any tight end in history. 3 Super Bowls.
So why did you have to wait?
Skip, when they want you in, they'll find a way. Now, I know tight ends are going to come behind me, and they're going to be first ballot, and they're not going to be as accomplished as Shannon Sharpe. I'm okay with that. I'm in. My grandmother was alive to hear my name get called, so I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Yep.
T.O., and it bothers T.O., and it should.
Sure. Eats him up.
Because, Skip, and I've said this, Randy was phenomenal. Got a chance to see him up close and personal, and he was special.
He was.
But if you gave me a choice, you say, Shannon, you get one. You get Randy or you get T.O. Give me T.O.
On your team or in the Hall of Fame?
On my team.
Okay.
I don't have any to say. On my team, you say, Shannon, you get one. Only one. Give me T.O. because you know why? Because I know T.O. going to give it to me every Sunday. How do I get past Randy Moss out of his own mouth? Says I play when I want to.
He said that.
And
he displayed that.
How do I get past that? Because the numbers are very. T.O. played one more game than Randy Moss. He has almost 100 more catches, 700 more yards, 3 fewer touchdowns than Randy. Skip, I don't know how T.O. has gotten this far without going into the Hall of Fame. Because everybody, and they're going to say, well, everybody was ready to get rid of T.O. Check Randy Moss' resume. Minnesota was ready to get rid of him. So was Oakland. So was New England.
They did get rid of him.
So was Minnesota after 1 month.
They weren't ready to. They did. All those people, they got rid of Randy Moss.
Went back to Minnesota after he was traded from New England and
rid.
stayed a month.
Yep, stayed a
And
month.
went to Tennessee and was gone, had a cup of coffee and was gone.
And sat out a year and went to San Francisco for one more pretty sorry year. Okay?
So the voters going to have to, I don't know how the voters came to this conclusion that T.O. was unworthy of being in first ballot Hall of Famer. But there haven't been very many modern day receivers, Skip. Paul Warfield, Raymond Berry, Jerry Rice, and Steve Largent, if I'm not mistaken, were the first ballots of the modern era.
Okay, so let me get this off my chest first before I answer Joy's question. I despise this concept that you had to wait 3 years. I don't know how Chris Carter had to wait 6 years. Now, whether you think he should or shouldn't be in, to me, you're either in the Hall of Fame or you're not in the Hall of Fame. It's just, it's a gut check, gut feeling where if I ask you, let's go to the top, Tom Brady, you say, he's in the Hall of Fame, right? And then if I go, Carson Palmer, then he's not on the Hall of Fame. If you have to think about it, even for 2, 3, 4 seconds, no, he's not. This is the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Very Good.
Hall of Longevity.
Okay? Yeah, it's not the Hall of Longevity. It's the Hall of Greatness. Shannon Sharpe's in my Hall of Fame. So if he's in my Hall of Fame, I'm not going to make him wait 3 years. You're just in it.
That's it.
Boom, you're in it. I'm assuming Tony Gonzalez will just get in, right?
Yep.
I assume. I don't know that for
And
a
he
fact.
should.
Okay, and he should. So I don't know if there should be a smaller, like statute of limitations here where you get, 3 years and then you're out for good? I don't know. I would like to see a one and done. You know, you're either in or you're out. Maybe that wouldn't be fair to some people.
Right.
And you're going to have some classes, they're just so loaded with obvious first ballot Hall of Famers, maybe too many would have to go in at one point, one time. Now, back to the question. I hear you about Randy Moss playing when he felt like it. But for me, I disagree with your bottom line on your team. I want Randy Moss because he was a little better than Terrell, just a little better. And I'm not taking anything away from those numbers. They are sensational, the Terrell Owens. I covered his team in San Francisco. I know him up close and personal. I know he played with rage every down.
Yep.
He played as hard as he could play all the way to the bitter end. And it got bitter at the end, but it wasn't because he wasn't trying, because he tried as hard as anybody who ever put pads and a helmet on. Randy Moss was better because he was a little faster than Terrell, and he definitely had better hands. Terrell, I don't have the stats because they're very subjective, but there were about 3 years he led the league in drop passes. He would drop big balls at big moments. Randy Moss didn't drop passes now. He had great hands. So if you're just doing like in a vacuum, who's a little better, I'm going with Randy Moss over Terrell Owens, which is why he has a chance to get in on the first ballot. But I don't think Randy's going to get in on the first ballot because of everything you just detailed.
And he had some off-the-field issues.
He had a whole bunch, and I don't want to, this becomes difficult because it looks like you're piling on. I want to pile on Terrell. I like Terrell, whether anybody believes me or not. From my heart, I like Terrell. I enjoy having him on the show. I enjoy being around him. I enjoy debating with him. He's smart about sports. But let's start with Randy Moss. Man, he had some big issues. Remember in Minnesota, he bumped that traffic cop with his car, and he got charged with felony suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, and in the same incident, marijuana possession. Tested positive for marijuana. He walked off the field before a game was over. He squirted a ref with a water bottle. These things are all going to add up, and these will be brought up when they go through this.
Not if they want him in there, Skip, because I've talked to people that was in the room when Brett Favre came up. And nobody mentioned the Viking addiction. Okay. Nobody mentioned the text or the picture that he sent to the
well, they should have.
No, because if I want you in, I set that aside.
Okay.
If I don't, then I have, because T.O. numbers, let's just say Joe Smith numbers, 1,078, 15, almost 60.
No doubt.
But T.O.,
I got you.
What about the sidelines?
Let me finish on
Randy.
Let me finish on Randy. He did have a restraining order placed on him for alleged domestic violence, though the charges were dropped. But it's sitting there on the record. And then he got fined heavily for screaming and verbally abusing a bunch of sponsors on a bus after a loss.
I think was that the last straw when he complained about the meal?
The meal was in Minnesota.
I think that was
very popular with the other players. Local restaurateur from St. Paul brought in lunch, free lunch for everybody. And Randy yelled in the middle of the locker room, "I wouldn't feed this you-know-what to my dog." And some of the players were outraged over that, and he got fined for that. And it might have been the last straw. And then Bill Belichick finally, after he had that record year, obviously in 2007, a couple of years later, Belichick finally said after a Monday night game at Miami, "I'm done. I'm out." So he bounced around. He wouldn't even try in Oakland. He didn't want to be a Raider for whatever reason. Al Davis got down on him, and they tried to do it for 2 years, and then he let him go and traded him for nothing for
peanuts,
like a fourth-round pick or fourth-round pick to Oakland. Okay, now back to Terrell. I don't want to beat the dead horse, so to speak, on this, but just I'm not going to back off my conviction on this. Randy wasn't quite the team wrecker that I saw Terrell be, and that's why I nicknamed him Team Obliterator. I was there in San Francisco when they finally said he's become more trouble than he's worth because he's tearing us apart. Then he went to the Eagles, and he tore them apart so much he turned on Donovan McNabb. He had a fight in the locker room with Hugh Douglas, and finally he went after Brad Childress, the coordinator, and was down on Andy Reid, and they sent him home. Remember, for the last, whatever it was, maybe 8 games that year?
They're suspended for 4, and then just go ahead and stay.
Just stay out. And then he goes to Dallas, and he and Parcells feuded the whole time. Parcells didn't want him. Jerry did. And he had a big incident with Todd Haley, which blew into an altercation out on the practice field with Jason Witten. And finally, Bill Parcells said, "I've seen enough. You're out." So I can show you 3 teams that were really good teams that he was at the heart of tearing apart. So is that on the field? I think it is on the field. So I get it, but again, if Terrell gets in this time, and I think he will, I'll be fine with it. It's just, but I'm not going to change my stance on it. But he's paid a serious price here.
But okay, he tore those teams apart. But when T.O. left San Francisco, what were they? When he left Dallas, what were they? When he left Philly, what were they? And in year 15, T.O. had 72 for 983 and 9 touchdowns, and he missed the last 2 games because remember, Skip, he tore his ACL. So he was about to go over 1,000 yards in year 15 on his, 4th or 15th. He was special. Nobody, he ran after the catch. He ran angry. I think I relate a little bit more to T.O. because our backgrounds are very similar.
They are.
He was raised by his grandma, was raised by my grandmother, and the expectations.
His was rural Alabama, yours.
Rural South Georgia.
Okay.
So I relate to T.O. a little bit more. I get him. The thing is that T.O. sincerely believed that people was out to get him. And I didn't feel that way. Not everybody. I realize that people, Skip, everybody is not happy for your success. Just like everybody, "Oh, Skip, you're great." Everybody's not happy for your success.
Nope.
But T.O. actually felt that everyone was against T.O.
Yeah.
And he played like that.
To the point that the 49ers, Bill Walsh called me one time when he was like a sort of an overseer.
Advisor,
And he said, "We've tried. We got him help, and we're trying to get him back where he's focused with us and with us instead of against us." And it's just, he was always looking over his shoulder. He was always quick to pick a fight because he thought somebody was down on him.
And he's the type of guy, Skip, if he feel you wronged him or he feel you've crossed him, it's done. It's over.
It's over.
You can never build that bridge back up with him. So that's the thing with him, and that's why it's so hard because he's like, here, you either here or you over there.
Yep.
There's no in between. That's one thing about him. You know exactly where you stand with Terrell Owens. There ain't no, well, what if he like me? There's no ambiguity with him, and it's a shame.
Hey, I can vote for that. Yeah.
It's a shame, Skip, that he had to wait 3 years, but I don't believe because the voters made a mistake with him, they should punish Randy. Because I believe both of those guys should have been in first ballot Hall of Famer. I would love to see both of them get in.
It will also be interesting to me, see if this psychology works. Randy has been, to me, good on television at ESPN. He's been more likable than he was as a player, right?
Yes.
Now, will that resonate in that voters' room maybe a little bit?
Yes,
maybe they saw a new side of him?
He's kind of like us. I mean, he doesn't really report, but he's offering insight. And, he's kind of like us now, so he's going to be viewed differently had he not been on television.
Well, we know Ray's going to be in first time.
Yes.
So.
You only get 5. So are you going to have 2 linebackers and 2 wide receivers?
I don't know. I just have a feeling they're going to make Randy wait just because of all these things.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Kirk Cousins just finished his second straight year under the franchise tag, and the Redskins went 7-9. Cousins had 27 touchdowns and 13 interceptions this year, and now Washington has a decision to make. They can franchise him again and pay him over $34 million, transition tag him, sign him to a long-term deal, or let him walk away. Yesterday, Jay Gruden gave some faint praise to his quarterback. Let's take a listen.
When you're 7-9, it's hard to say, wow, this guy really was outstanding. There's a few guys obviously that jump out. Pro bowlers like Ryan Kerrigan had a solid year, and obviously Trent, when he played, was Pro Bowl type, and Brandon, when he was healthy, was a Pro Bowl type guy. Kirk had his flashes where he's really good from a consistent standpoint over the course of 16 games. We're 7-9. He did some great things, threw for over 4,000 yards and 29 touchdowns, I believe. So, I think he's a very, very good quarterback without a doubt. But as far as getting us over the hump from 7-9 to winning division with all the injuries we had, I think he competed, did some good things.
Shannon, how will this play out?
First Cousins got to go. After this right here, hold on. Now, he mentioned Ryan Kerrigan. Ryan Kerrigan of the defense. The 5th worst scoring defense. They were last in rush defense, but he mentioned him by name.
He did.
Okay, Kirk Cousins, he third straight 4,000-yard season. Prior to him, they've only had 2 4,000-yard passing seasons. Kirk Cousins put up 3 consecutive. Jordan Reed, all-pro caliber tight end, Pro Bowl tight end, missed 10 games.
Did.
Trent Williams, that all-pro tackle he was talking about, missed 6 games. That all-pro guard, Brandon Sheriff, missed 2 games. Chris Thompson, running backs extraordinaire, missed 6 games. He took a team to Seattle, minus 4 starting offensive linemen, Jordan Reed, and won a game. Now, I've never seen in all my years of playing, Skip, and covering this game. So since 1990, started playing it and been covering it ever since. So almost 30 years, I've never seen a team bet against a guy, hoping he failed, to justify them not giving him a long-term contract. Because Skip, that's what you do. When you franchise a guy, it's like dating. I'm dating you, but I ain't gonna give you a key now. Let me know when you're coming over. I'll be there for you. But I ain't gonna give you a key. 2 years go by. You ain't ready for that key just yet. And then you're gonna say, you talking about we. Hold on, wait a minute. Does he realize he's the coach of this team? Where is his culpability? Because it seems to me that he's placing all this at the feet of Kirk Cousins.
It came off that way.
That the reason that they're 7-9 was because of Kirk. Do you realize if you didn't Skip, if the Broncos had Kirk Cousins, I believe the Broncos would be a serious Super Bowl contending team. John Elway made it known we didn't get the kind of play at that position. We will address that in the offseason. Everybody, from all indications, Vance Joseph was going to be gone. But I know John Elway. I said he didn't give Vance a chance to win because you got to give him a quarterback. Give him a quarterback, and if it doesn't turn out any better than 5'11", then you could make a decision. Kirk Cousins was not the reason. And then you have Bruce Allen call the man, Kurt.
On the team website, on a video posted on the team website. Kurt, and he did it. He didn't do it once. He did it through the whole
and he put emphasis on Kurt.
Kurt.
And he wanted to make sure you know. We offered Kurt the most money. And when you look at it, that little bit of money.
Well, no wonder he didn't take it. It was the wrong name.
Yeah, that wasn't even for him.
It's like, this contract's not even for me.
He gonna try
Whatever this Kurt guy is.
He gonna try to
really
cash that
deal.
check, Joe. What if he took that check to the bank? Your name Kurt. His was Kurt. Skip, this is so. When the general manager, Bruce Allen, will say what he said, mispronounce the man's name, and then Jay Gruden get up there at his final press conference and say, he's heaping praises on guys and all pro. The guy missed 6 games. Jordan Reed is special. Jordan Reed is the top 5 tight end when he's healthy. He missed 10 games. And because you kept franchising him, guess what you couldn't do? You couldn't sign Deshaun Jackson. You couldn't re-sign Pierre Garçon. Skip. They need Jay First Cousin, go on and lead it. Come on to Denver. You need to go somewhere where you're going to appreciate you, and I appreciate you in Denver.
And by the way, Kirk Cousins not only won at Seattle, he beat the Rams in Los Angeles.
Yes!
That's pretty good. I'll give him that. But the head coach says, I saw flashes from Kirk Cousins, and he says he's a very, very good quarterback, but as far as getting us over the hump, that is classic damning with faint praise.
Yes.
You are damning your quarterback with very faint backdoor praise, right?
But he did say, Skip, with all the injuries, he did compete his tail off to get us at 7-9. But to get us from 7-9 to division champs, I don't know. But when you just division champ a couple of go ahead, Skip. Go ahead.
So I feel exactly about this situation as I do and just told you about the Hall of Fame. You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. You're either the Redskins' future or you're not.
He's not.
You have to fish or cut bait,
Yeah.
right? This is it. This is your moment of truth here. You're going to franchise him again for $34.9 million?
Or you could transition him for 28.
Yeah, but if somebody matches, then you
get the
offers,
match.
you
You
got
get-
to match.
right.
Yeah, so that's not very good because I think somebody would offer.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay? So, to me, the GM and the head coach have made it very clear publicly that they just don't buy completely into Kirk Cousins.
Correct.
And to my point, I'm going to make it one more time, against the arch rival, and it's sort of like Michigan beating Ohio State, that's the game that people expect you to win. Kirk Cousins is now 1-6 against the Dallas Cowboys. It's not very good. He is 0-4 against the Cowboys at home. Dak Prescott is 4-0 against Kirk Cousins. Well, these are all bad signs because that's your arch rival. The one game you won against the Dallas Cowboys was against Kellen Moore. You lost to Matt Castle on a Monday night at home. These are the bad signs, and it's why they're not buying completely in. But they're damned if they do and damned if they don't, because they believe just enough in him that they're afraid to let him go because they're afraid he'll come back to haunt them with the Denver Broncos or whoever it is. And to me, if that's how you feel, you should have the courage of your convictions, and you should just cut bait.
Let it go.
Just let it go. Just go onward and upward. The way Jay Gruden talks about Colt McCoy, and I'm not making a joke about this, he talks about Colt McCoy more glowingly than he does about Kirk Cousins. And listen, Colt McCoy's not bad. He's not bad. By the way, in 2014, when the Cowboys went 12-4, Colt McCoy went to Dallas, went to Jerry World on a Monday night and beat them.
Yeah.
And beat the stuffing out of them. He was really good that night. But how would he wear over 16 games? I don't know.
Skip, Colt McCoy has had a very solid career.
Yep.
He's not a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry.
Yep. Okay, I just stand by what I said from the very start. Kirk Cousins, to me, is the underconfident overachiever who will always come up small when you least expect. When you need him the most, he won't be there for you. That's that guy. What was he, a fourth-round pick?
Yeah, fourth. I think
He's that guy. And again, that's what so if I ran the Redskins, I would just close my eyes and cut bait. I would go forward. But they don't have there's not a young quarterback waiting in the wings. That means you're going to have to go forward with Colt McCoy next year, and you're going to have to go get a young quarterback.
Okay, you cut bait. You tell me the quarterback that's going to be available that's better than First Cousins. You tell me the guy that you're going to go get in the draft that next year he will be better than what you're letting go.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go down the list. There are four, potential pretty good quarterback picks in that first round. Could one of them fall to Washington? They could.
Which one of them will throw for 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 4,000 yards next year?
You know what? If you could get Baker Mayfield, I think he'll be better than Kirk Cousins. I'm not sold completely on Baker Mayfield. I just think he's better than Kirk Cousins. That's what I believe.
Well, if he has Jordan Reed, yes. If he has Trent Williams for 16 games, yes. If he has Thompson for all the games and Sheriff for all the games, yeah. So what if Kirk Cousins had all those guys? You got to factor that in, Skip. He's losing an all-pro left tackle.
Yeah, I got it. No, I'm with you. I understand. And that's why this is such a hard choice for them. But clearly, they're not 1,000% sold.
They keep betting against. They keep betting, hoping. Because if he falls off a cliff, Skip, that's why we didn't give him the long. They want him to throw for 3,000 yards.
Yeah.
Have 25 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, and then we can justify moving on.
They do. They keep covering their bets.
Yes.
1 year at a time, and maybe he'll fall off the cliff, and we can say, we're okay now. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, have some guts. Just say, we don't believe in him, and we're going to go forward. And then just let those chips fall.
Yeah.
Right?
They're trying to 2 bets.
Yeah.
Well, if I lose, well, I'm gonna bet with the Cowboys. I'm gonna bet against the. So that way, if you lose, you win your money back.
Yeah.
But you've accomplished nothing.
It's a very bizarre strategy.
It's ridiculous.
It's a very expensive, bizarre strategy.
Extremely expensive, and it's about to get really expensive.
Because think about what you could have done, Skip. You could have just went ahead and gave him $60 million
You could
3
have.
years ago
You
and
could
been
have.
done with it.
Yeah.
But instead, you chose to give him $45 million
Yep.
over 2 years.
That was bad business.
Yes.
Yep, I agree with you. Well, you're either in the Hall of Fame or you're not. Which are you? Kirk Cousins or no?
And now he saw Matthew Stafford
Yeah.
just get $92 million.
He did.
With a year remaining. I'm totally free. And you think you about to get Kirk Cousins for 65? Somebody is about to back up the brink. Beep, beep, beep.
Okay,
Good
do
for
it.
him.
And somebody might be really
I
wrong.
hope it's the Broncos. Get him, John. I got $40 on him.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Join us again same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.